Well, this weekend in the A-League men's, we had a Melbourne derby, a crazy 3-3 draw between Adelaide United and Sydney FC, and a shocking result over in New Zealand, Auckland FC, with their first loss ever, a 4-0 loss at the hands of Western United. There is plenty to talk about from this round. Yes, the round is not complete. There is one more match coming, a Monday evening match, Macarthur FC hosting Central Coast Mariners. I'm planning to get down to the game. So that is why we are live here tonight to wrap up the games. We are usually live every Sunday night for our round recap. And of course, always great to have you guys joining us in the live chat. Feel free to drop just your overall takeaways from this round because there's lots of directions we can go. There was big talking points in all the games. We had another game on earlier today, West City Wanderers 4, Wellington Phoenix 1. Another big win for Wanderers and another loss for Wellington Phoenix. So there are so many interesting narratives that are sort of that are unfolding before our eyes as we approach Christmas time. Well, we are in Christmas time. It is almost Christmas. This is our Christmas stream, ladies and gentlemen, a few days away from Christmas. Merry Christmas to everyone. And great to see Owen here in the live chat. Newey Jets here as well. Elizel's here. Great round of football so far, says Elizel. It's been great. It's been a lot of fun. It's been pretty unexpected. It's been a roller coaster. I don't think I've gotten a single, in my predictions that I did last week, I don't think I've gotten a single match correct. It's pulled up some big surprises, that's for sure. I mean, even Perth Glory defeating Brisbane Roar, Glory picking up their first win of the season. So we are going to go through and talk about one game at a time, dissect it, analyze it. We'd love to get your thoughts on each of the games over the next hour. Statement win from the Wanderers, says Elizel. Yeah, certainly. I mean, especially considering sort of the up and down form to start the season. But this result has once again shown us the Wanderers, once they get clicking, once they get going, they're a dangerous team. They're a good team. And, you know, Dylan Shakluna was great today. Milanovic, dangerous. Barella with a couple assists. They are capable of being a top team. And Wellington Phoenix, I mean, some concern around them. G'day, great, always great to see Sam here in the live chat. Sam, good to see you here. Says it was good to watch the Jets play. It was a good win. Oh wait, they got the bye again. That's right. I mean, it was weird, wasn't it? Another bye for Newcastle Jets. Why do we always get the bye? Says Sam. An international break. I hope you have a good Christmas, Lockie, with fam. Thank you very much, Sam. Hope you enjoy your Christmas as well. Let's dive into the first match of the round. We will talk about this just crazy 3-3 draw. Where Douglas Costa of Sydney FC was the star of the show, I think we have to say. Obviously, at least from a Sky Blue perspective, and scoring his first goal in the A-League, his first couple goals in the A-League, and an assist as well. Fantastic performance. You probably have to say this guy was man of the match with the effort that he put in this game. It had been coming, it had been building. He's obviously shown, you know, some good glimpses throughout the season so far. And now he's finally sort of unlocked it. He's found the goals. And who knows, will this lead? I mean, great question for you guys is, will this lead to sort of a bit of a run in form for Douglas Costa? I mean, Sydney need it. Sydney have been struggling a little bit in recent weeks. This was almost going to end in another defeat for them. It was the 89th minute where Sydney FC got their second goal. And then in the 5th minute of injury time, grabbing the third to make it 3-3. Look, a promising start for Adelaide United. Archie Goodwin has been in good form for them. Their young striker scoring early on. Stefan Mork grabbing a goal as well. He's been good this season. So 2 goals for Goodwin, who grabbed another in the second half. Douglas Costa did score in the first half as well. So 3-1 at half time. And you got the sense at that point, especially with the Reds at home, you thought the Reds were going to run away with it, maybe grab another one to seal it. And I had that feeling of, you know, Adelaide have been playing very well this season. You thought, okay, yeah, against the Sydney FC side struggling for confidence. That was going to be what panned out. And it was the complete opposite. Adelaide just choked at the end in Sydney FC with 2 late goals to grab a point. And very frustrating, I think, from Adelaide United point of view. I mean, we look back to a couple of weeks ago, they were held to a 2-2 draw at home against Perth Glory. So disappointing for Adelaide United. But for Sydney FC to bounce back here, I mean, really important just to, I think this sort of that performance there, I guess the effort you can say at the end to come back and grab a couple late goals and match it with the only undefeated team in the league. I think that'll be a big confidence boost for Sydney FC. They needed that result, and that they showed themselves that they can still compete late on in games. Newey Jets here says comment here in regards to Archie Goodwin. Newey Jets says Archie Goodwin was terrific as well. Good to see Costa play a full 90 minutes. Yeah, and look, we often see it, even with the best of players coming from overseas, that sometimes they might take a couple months to get going, and that just might be the situation with Brazilian star Douglas Costa. He's been playing a decent amount of football for the Sky Blues, and now, I get the sense that this might really kickstart things in the A-League for Douglas Costa. He's obviously a guy with incredible ability. They've sort of played him in a variety of positions, whether that's on the right, on the left. There's been times where he's been playing a central role as well, as like a number 10. I do think his best position is on that right-hand side. He can take players on, cut in on that left foot. He was floating around a little bit in this game once again, as Sydney's attackers like to do, and grabbing 2 goals and the assist as well. Really nice assist for Courtney Perkins for that 3rd goal as well. Good to see Arlo-sun in the chat here as well. James is here. Alizel says the Adelaide collapse was crazy. Really concerning. I mean, just surprising as well. Again, like, it was the 89th minute. They had a 3-1 lead. And the 89th minute when Costa grabs a goal. The Reds have been so good this season. Look, I was there in person, obviously, to see them defeat Mariners 4-0 a couple weeks ago. They're a top team, Adelaide, and they've built a really, really dangerous team who I think are capable of really challenging for the premiership this year. I do believe that now. But the way they collapsed was concerning. And look, we don't like to single out any players, but I do think James Delianov, Adelaide goalkeeper, will very disappointed with his performance in this game. If you look at all 3 goals, look, I'm no goalkeeping expert, of course, but you've got to say that surely Delianov could have done better in all 3 situations, missing the ball on a couple times with it flying in, just some questionable goalkeeping errors, and it cost Adelaide in the end. They would have secured the 3 points, and it would have been a real disaster for Sydney FC, another loss for them. So they stopped that run of losses, which is important for them as well. G'day to Braden as well in the chat. Good to see you here. So in terms of Adelaide and how they're tracking, look, they're still in a great position. As we have a glance down here at the ladder, still second on the ladder here. Now 1 point behind Auckland. Well and truly eyeing off top spot early on this season, and still the only team yet to lose. So Auckland, we're going to talk about their game very shortly. Auckland lost this weekend. So Adelaide, now the only team undefeated, 5 wins, 3 draws without a loss, 20 goals scored. Adelaide United are the top goal scorers after 8 rounds. Yes, there's a few teams who haven't played 8 games. Well, some teams have even played 9 games so far. So the Reds are looking really, really good at the moment. But at home, it's interesting that the wins haven't really come for them. So it's away from home where they've looked especially dangerous, it seems, Adelaide United. But a couple of times at home, they've been held this season to the draw. So they will hope to end that run of draws and get those home wins. 15 shots for the Reds in this game, 23 for Sydney FC, who were well and truly pushing for things in the second half. Again, you got the sense that maybe Adelaide just needed that goal there, that 4th goal, to really seal the result. Sky Blues, this point keeps them in 8th place on the ladder, 3 wins, 1 draw, and still 4 losses. 17 scored, 17 conceded. So it's a really interesting sort of, when we look at the ladder, it's pretty chaotic, especially sort of the mid-section of the ladder. Everyone from maybe 5th down to 10th, it's looking pretty tight at the moment. So 5th place is Western United, all the way down to 10th as it stands right now. The Mariners are there. Of course, Mariners still to play tomorrow night as well. But a dramatic result, a crazy result, and great to see. Look, just from a neutral point of view, Sydney FC fans will be happy. But from a neutral point of view, very, very good to see Douglas Costa show up with a fantastic performance. All right, A-League Edits is here in the live chat. Welcome. Costa Edits here says Costa showed a lot of captaincy in that game. The reason Sydney didn't lose. Are you suggesting that maybe he should be given the captain's armband, perhaps? Leading by example. Douglas Costa, very experienced player, obviously, as well. EB Gamer 10 here in the live chat says, nice goals from Costa. That'll probably bring more momentum to the team, says EB. Look, it could well, yeah. It could well do it. I mean, he's basically single-handedly sort of sparked the comeback here for Sydney FC. And they really need their key players to step up, Sydney, because, they've been struggling a little bit in the last few weeks. And they've still got a good team. You know, they shouldn't be sitting where they are on the ladder in 8th place. Defensively, you'd still got to tighten up, man. Again, just in this game, you saw those goals from Adelaide, especially in the first half, just the way they slipped through Sydney FC so easily. I mean, there has to be some work done, surely, defensively for the Sky Blues. Again, I think there's a lot of talk around the defensive setup at Sydney FC, and you get the sense that they'll look to bring someone in January to help out that area of the pitch as well. Matthew's joining us in the live chat here as well. Daniel, great to see everyone here. Wim Berger, welcome to the live chat. Says, love the channel. Keep up the good work. Thank you. Another solid round of A-League action and Western United building into the season nicely. They are indeed. And I tell you what, that is a good segue. It is time to jump into the next game of the round. And we are going to talk about Auckland FC 0, Western United 4. I'm excited to talk about this one because, my goodness, what a result. What a shocking result. Incredible. Incredible. Hey, Daniel Jackson. Daniel, welcome. Daniel says, Western United fan here. What a win. Great to see a team with young talent like ours get a result. Hoping we can keep it up and keep it going and keep up with the top 6. Well, if they do, continue with performances like this, they're well and truly turning into. I said it last week, I think, in last week's live round recap, that Western United was sort of turning into the dark horses this season, and I think they are. You know, not many people expected much of Western this year, but they've put together a team who are putting in some admirable performances, and they're scoring goals, dude. Too, they're finding the goals. 4 goals last week against Sydney in that 4-3 win. And now 4-0 away to Auckland. It's just incredible. Like, the result is just insane. No one predicted this. No one predicted this at all. In terms of this young side, Daniel talks about here the young talent that West United possesses. I mean, young 17-year-old centre-back Dylan Leonard, again, starting in this game. Shamoon at left-back, another youngster. You've got the likes of Wality there as well. Bozanovsky, another young player. Noel Botic still with a great future ahead of him. Botic was on the score sheet in this game, as well as Ibisuki, Dan Saki from the penalty spot, and Grimaldi, another youngster, off the bench for Western. And it's hard to say sort of where it went wrong for Auckland. They were simply outplayed in this game, and Western took their opportunities. For Auckland, in terms of their squad, I mean, again, it's not just down to one player, but I do want to highlight, I think, the loss of Dan Hall, who is now out with injury. It's just showing how good Dan Hall was in the opening rounds of the season. Dan Hall was unbelievable in the first few weeks. He was so crucial to the defensive record that Auckland had in the first few weeks of the season. And without him, all of a sudden, Auckland have conceded 6 goals in 2 weeks out of nowhere. Sakai playing at centre-back, you get the sense that he's more comfortable at right-back. Look, Pineacre as well, with maybe a quieter game this time around as well. He was beaten at times in the box. De Vries was substituted off as well. He's been very good this season. So really uncharacteristic performance from Auckland, who have been so good so far this season. Having a look at the stats, 13 shots for Auckland, 17 for Western United. And it was Auckland who did have more possession in the end, 60-40, favouring the home team. Interesting looking at the pass accuracy too. Western with a 4-0 win with only 65% pass accuracy, which is relatively quite low. That is quite low, especially for a team winning in the way they did as well. Credit to Western, man, taking those opportunities. Look, the early penalty to Dan Zaki, Botic again with a goal. Ibisuki is always dangerous, always dangerous. And Grimaldi with a nice finish as well. And just some poor defending from Auckland, which is weird to say because they've been so good so far, haven't they? They've been so good. Braden here says 2 New Zealand sides, I assume you're talking about there, Braden. 2 New Zealand sides lost on the last weekend before Christmas as a Wanderers fan. That's right, Wellington as well losing today. Ayla Get It says, didn't you pick Western to be last this season? I did. Edit says, man, I thought they would be the same old Western, but they are proving people wrong. It's always so hard to predict heading into a new A-League season. We do our ladder predictions, and yeah, as you say there, I did predict Western to finish bottom. I just thought, looking at their squad, they didn't quite have enough to compete with the top teams in the competition. But especially some individuals are really stepping up their performances. I mean, Botic is finding a really good run of form in recent weeks. Again, Hiroshi Basuki, if you guys have been watching the channel for a while, you know I love this guy. Hiroshi Basuki is always a goal threat. He's one of the tallest strikers in the competition, and again, took his goal nicely in this game. Great to see Dan Zaki score as well. He hasn't scored many goals of late, so important goal for him. Shout out to Angus Thurgate, who was so good in this game as well. One of the more underrated players in the competition, working so hard in midfield. And the way he contributes in attack as well. I mean, a real box-to-box midfield, Angus Thurgate. He's one of the best in the league, I think, when it comes to that sort of box-to-box midfield role. And, helps set up some of those attacks for Western United as well, hey? Just incredible. Just incredible way Western were able to just dismantle Auckland FC. And you just got the sense, especially after 34 minutes, Western had a 3-0 lead. And I think it was just a sense of, especially Go Media Stadium, which had a strong crowd there once again, a sense of just shock and just disbelief, amongst not only the Auckland FC faithful, who have been incredible this season, but the players on the pitch. They were almost just shell-shocked. Auckland have been so used to just dominating games this season. And out of nowhere, they've just been completely torn apart and barely, not conceding goals as well. Not conceding goals. The first goal they conceded a couple of weeks ago at home was that Barbarousa's goal at the end of the New Zealand derby a few weeks ago. That was the one and only goal they had conceded at home up to this point. And all of a sudden, after 34 minutes, they've conceded 3 in this game. And they were just shell-shocked, man. And they didn't seem to have a response. There was an interesting look. We were doing a live watch along for the Melbourne derby last night, and I apologize. I can't remember who it was. We were talking about Auckland FC at the moment and sort of how they're looking, and maybe showing signs in the last couple of weeks of just a little bit of frailty. Look, I think Auckland is still going to be really strong this season, but the comment in that live stream last night was maybe brought up the fact that maybe Auckland FC are lacking sort of that talisman, sort of that charismatic player in an attacking sense to really lead them. Guillermo May, Uruguayan striker, has looked good so far this season. He's only grabbed 2 goals so far after 8 games. Look, Jake Brimmer is a top player on his day, but maybe they needed more from him in this game. Liam Gillian, very promising young player, local player as well. Over there in Auckland, he's been good, but he's still searching for his first goal in the A-League. Moreno was preferred ahead of Rogerson in this game as well, but maybe they're lacking sort of that. With Auckland FC, they're top of the table still, but it hasn't been 1 or 2 star players who have carried them to that position. It's been a collective team effort. It's been their defensive solidarity and fantastic organisation. And just the goals have been, everyone's been contributing to the goals, whether it's Brimmer, whether it's Mai, Rogerson's got a couple goals, hasn't he? Moreno's chipped in as well. Didn't DeVries score a couple weeks ago? Pynek has scored a couple goals as well from set pieces. So the goals have come from all over the place. So look, it's an interesting point. It is an interesting point as well. Going back to Western though, New UE Jets here in the live chat says Thurgate was great. Thurgate was great indeed. Daniel says Wellington has looked great since coming into the team as a starter. He's amazing on the ball, has lots of promise. Yeah, he was good against Sydney last week. He scored last week against Sydney. And he's a player who plays without fear. I think that's one thing I've noticed about Abel Wellington is how he loves to take players on. He clearly plays with a lot of aggression and adventure, and it's great to see from a young player. It's very, very good to see. And yeah, he's come in as a starter for the last few weeks. Grimaldi was there, but he's been dropped, and Wellington's into the start. Great stuff. Great stuff from another good young player coming through at Western. So the young guys doing the job at Western. Let's have a look at the ladder as well, because Western are just quietly creeping up the ladder. Fifth place after that. Look, they have played 9 games. It is worth pointing out. 9 games played for Western. That's more than almost the rest of the league. 3 wins, 3 draws, 3 losses. So the important thing for John Aloisi is to bottle up this confidence, bottle up these positive results and positive performances, and keep this form going. Because as you can see there, 3-3-3 when it comes to wins, draws, losses. Can they keep the positive form going? I believe in Western United now. They've put in some big performances and grabbed some results that we just did not expect. I mean, the 4-3 win against Sydney FC last week was incredible. And 4-0 here against Auckland FC, just remarkable. Just remarkable. Alligators here says Auckland may need a Costa or Ibusuki or a Borello. I still have faith in Guilherme May. I think maybe the goals will come for him. Hello to Bruno, who's tuning in from Brazil. Thanks for jumping in, Bruno. Interesting question from Newey Jets. Who's the 3 players that have caught your eye this season? 3 players have caught my eye this season. I was just talking about him before, but I think Liam Gillian has been super impressive on the wing for Auckland. It's a shame that he hasn't scored so far this campaign, but Gillian has been very, very good. Who else has caught my eye? If we can pick 3, I mean, Nick Milanovic at Wanderers, he's been great, leading the goal scoring charts as well. He's been very, very good at Wanderers. And probably worth shouting out someone like Zach Clough at Adelaide, who's been pretty crucial to their success as well. So those are 3 that come to mind at the moment. Young players, Newey Jet says here. I mean, Liam Gillian does still fit into that sort of conversation, obviously being a young player. I guess Milanovic does as well. Yeah. Owen here says he's been impressed with Eli Adams, Wality, Piol as well. Yes, in the chat here it says Western to finish top 6 and make it to the semis. I mean, it's a big ask. It's a big ask. There's a long season ahead. But yeah, it's a key. I think it's a key moment in time here for John Aloisi to try and really make sure he keeps this good form going. Because look, there's a lot of pressure. We should not forget, a lot of pressure on John Aloisi heading into this season. Western 3 years ago winning the championship, last couple of seasons, missed out on finals. Last year they were really poor. And you got the sense that if Western United made a poor start to this season, that maybe John Aloisi would have been moved on. But they're looking good at the moment. They're digging deep, Western United. And so a few big wins. They got to back it up in the coming weeks as well. But great finish to 2024 for the green and black. All righty. Well, Matthew has got a question here in the live chat. Thanks for joining us, Matthew. Matthew asks, what does Brisbane need in a coach and players? 3 players they should sign and a coach they should go for? Well, let's talk about Brisbane Raw. In terms of a coach they should go for, I mean, there's been a lot of conversation around Besa Parisha and just amongst the fan base. I would love to see it. It would just be fun to see Besa Parisha join up with Brisbane again. He was obviously a star player for them in the early 2010s, helped them to some championships, and he's expressed his interest to coach again in the A-League. Well, sorry, coach for the first time in the A-League, but return to the A-League in some form. So, if we should say Zagovic at this moment of time is still in charge of Brisbane Roar, unless an announcement has been made. Can you imagine if Brisbane Roar made an announcement on social media, like live on this stream? I mean, that would be great just to get a live reaction. But Brisbane Roar 0, Perth Glory 1. I mean, Matthew's asking a question here about Brisbane Roar, what they need from a coach and their players and their playing squad as well. Because this result, the one word from this result from a Brisbane point of view is unacceptable. This result was unacceptable. In my opinion, and I think the opinion of pretty much everyone else, whether you're a Brisbane fan or not, is Ruben Zadkovic does have to go. Brisbane Roar, look, we will jump straight to the ladder because look, Brisbane Roar are now bottom of the table. Brisbane Roar bottom of the table without a win, 2 draws, 6 losses. They've scored 11, but they've conceded 21. They are still yet to win a game. And this was the game they had to win. Look, Perth Glory's really struggling this season. They were in a similar predicament as well. They were level on points with Brisbane heading into this game. And, we saw Perth Glory lose 4-0 last week at home to Jets, and there's just so many issues at Perth Glory at the moment. And Brisbane Roar being the home team, this was the game that they had to win. This was the game that they had to win. This was the easiest game that they have, right? At home against a Perth Glory side low in confidence. Their squad is just an absolute shambles. A lot of conjecture online in terms of whether David Zrilich, their head coach, should continue. This was a game Brisbane Roar had to win. And not only did they lose, they failed to score a goal. It's not a bad team that Brisbane Roar have. But if they're not winning at home against Perth Glory, I'm sorry, but Zadkovic has to go. I mean, it's clear as day now. It's clear as day. It's seriously concerning. They shouldn't be this low on the ladder. Look, I don't know if they've got enough for finals this season. I didn't predict them to be a top 6 team this season. But this team is just not getting the results. They're not winning games at all. They haven't won a game. So something clearly needs to change. Look, they've got decent players in the team. Tom Waddingham, a top young striker. Florin Berenguer is a very good player on his day. I really rate Keegan Jelicic. Obviously, Jay O'Shea, again, one of the top midfielders in the competition. I do like Waleed Shaw. I think he's brought a bit of strength and some I guess, a physical presence to sort of Brisbane Roar's midfield. But defensively, just a bit of a shambles at the moment, and they're still looking for that right defensive setup. The centre backs have been changing a bit. I do like Lucas Harrington, a young defender. He's been putting in some good performances, but my goodness me. I mean, Newey Jet says it here. Where to for the Roar? It's a great question. Jacob here. Jacob says, number 1, new owners. Number 2, new management. Number 3, new coach. Number 4, new players. New stadium as well. Pretty much everything, says Jacob. I mean, I mean, where do you start as well? Hey, like, what's the priority? Jacob here, who is a Brisbane Roar fan, says, wouldn't be surprised if we don't win a game this season. I'm having to drag myself to games, and don't blame others for not going. Yeah, like it's starting to wear off on the fans, isn't it, Jacob? When performances like this and results like this are happening. And what was the stat now? Brisbane have lost like their last 7 home games or something like that, which is just unacceptable for a team as big as Brisbane Roar, man. The one and only A-League club in the grand state of Queensland, and they're struggling on the bottom of the table. It can't be happening. If Zadkovic surely has to be let go this week, I'd be surprised if he's not. If he's not, there is immense pressure on him. If he's not, and Brisbane continue to lose, the fans, I mean, they're already making plenty of noise, but the fans have to stand up because, Jacob says it here. I mean, you cannot accept results like this as well. You cannot accept it. Luke here asked the question, before or after the new year, does Zadkovic get sacked? Before or after? Luke says, seems inevitable at this point. It does seem inevitable. I mean, I would do it before New Year. In terms of Brisbane Roar, let's actually just have a quick look at their run of games in the coming weeks, because that's sort of the crucial thing for Roar. Like, is there a realistic chance of them getting points? Let's pull it up. So Brisbane, their next game is away to Western. That's not a fun game because Western are in a good run of form and have been scoring goals for fun in the last couple of weeks. So you'd imagine Western are strong favourites in that game. Brisbane have Mariners at home. Now, that's an interesting one. Look, I still back my Mariners to find some good form this season, and it'll be interesting to see how Mariners go. Look, before that game, Mariners have 3 games. Mariners obviously have Macarthur tomorrow night, Auckland at home, and then City at home on New Year's Eve. So Mariners have 3 games before that Brisbane game there. And then after that, Brisbane have Newcastle Jets at home, which they'll probably view as a winnable game before heading to City away. So look, Western away, it doesn't look like a winnable game at the moment. And I think another loss there, and surely Zadkovic has to go. Mariners is always a tricky matchup as well. Hey, always a tricky matchup. So in terms of how many points Brisbane get from those games, I mean, you're not confident that they're going to pick up any hay. It doesn't look realistic. As Jacob said earlier here, it doesn't look like that Brisbane could pick up many points at all, at least in the foreseeable future. I'm sure Ruben Zadkovic has a future as their head coach. He did a decent job with Perth Glory a couple years ago. He turned them into a competitive team. They did miss out on finals, but they were okay. But now at Brisbane, look, they missed out on finals last year. They're in a tricky position at the moment, and now the bottom of the ladder. The bottom of the ladder. So, I mean, there's still pressure on David Zrilic at Perth Glory as well, despite getting this win. But yeah, a bit of a concerning time at the moment if you're a Brisbane Roar fan. Hey. Perth Glory, though, I mean, we should talk about Perth Glory. Congratulations to them for picking up a win. Look, it wasn't an incredible performance from Perth Glory, but they took their opportunity. David Williams with a goal. Brisbane with 14 shots in this game. Perth with 9. Brisbane with more possession as well. And we're pushing towards the end, dude. And I think a gutsy performance at the back from Perth Glory just to stay organised and hold Brisbane out. And they got the win. All righty, let's talk about the next game as well. And again, comment here, segueing nicely into the next match. We're going to talk about the Melbourne derby. G'day to Wim Berger in the live chat. Hello to everyone joining us for our live round recap. We are live every Sunday night for our A-League live round recaps. Next up, we are going to talk about Melbourne victory 1, Melbourne City 1. Wim Berger here in the live chat asks here, thoughts on victory? Persevering with Virgos over Fornaroli. Says El Tuna changed the game completely when he came on. He did. Those substitutes gave victory a bit of a spark in the second half, and they also got that equaliser in the second half. I do like. I'm happy for them to stick with Virgos. I think he's been good so far this season. He was very quiet in this game. Nikos Virgos was very, very quiet. I don't know his individual stats, but I'd be surprised if he touched the ball more than 5 times this game. Seriously, we were doing the live watch along for this game last night. Thanks to everyone who tuned in for the live watch along last night. It was a lot of fun. I barely remember saying Virgos's name during the live stream because he was just a passenger, wasn't he? He was a passenger. So, yeah. In terms of Fornaroli, though, changing the game, he certainly did do that. And maybe with Arthur Dillis taking over and Patrick Kisnorba out, maybe Fornaroli gets more of a run in the team as well. A strong lineup for Melbourne victory named in this game. That back four, very, very solid. That attacking setup, so dangerous. Arzani on the right, Piscopo on the left. Machash was through the middle. Of course, Virgos leading the line. All those attackers, well, the trio of Arzani, Machash, Piscopo were very good and lively in this game. I was very impressed with Piscopo, who was causing some havoc down the left. But Melbourne City, credit to them, who, look, we look back to the first Melbourne derby this season, all the way back in round 2, where Melbourne City were just torn to shreds in the first half. Defensively, we're just at 6s and 7s. Much, much better in this game, weren't they? Much better in this game, Melbourne City. It was a much more competitive game. Cohen, great strike. This guy's been playing well, man. Jonathan Cohen has made a good start to the season. Another goal for him. This is 4 goals already this season for Cohen at Melbourne City. He's been stepping up, especially with some big players out. No Vecchi, no Caputo, no Tilio, no Naboot. Some young guys playing around him, and he's doing very, very well. I thought City's midfield was pretty good overall in this game. Zane Schreiber, young guy, worked hard. Especially, look, there was a big sort of injury blow for City heading into this game. Jago was ruled out last minute, and Zane Schreiber had to step up, and he did pretty well. And I thought City's defense was very good in this game. Victory looked very dangerous going forward, and City's defense very well organised. Cartrulin, I thought, was really good at the back. You look at the stats here as well. Victory managed 23 shots in this game. They had 60% possession as well. City with 11 shots overall. 10 corners to Victory, just a 3 for Melbourne City as well. So it was Victory who were on the front foot for much of this game. But credit to City for digging deep and holding on as well. And as well, I shouldn't forget, Patrick Beach, fantastic. Look, the one error you could probably point out for the goal that Victory scored, Miranda tapping home, and Patrick Beach maybe could have done better to claim the ball there. He was, I think, appealing that he'd been infringed, that he'd been impeded, I should say. but it wasn't enough for a foul for me. But Patrick Beach, another good performance from him. He made some brilliant saves, the young goalkeeper, in this game as well. But a 1-1 draw feels like a fair result in the end. Matthew here with the question. Matthew asks, who would be victory coach? Oh, sorry, who should be victory coach? I think they bring someone in from overseas. Thoughts? Maybe. I mean, potentially. We don't often see overseas coaches at Melbourne Victory, now that I think about it. They've had plenty of Aussies in charge. Look, with Patrick Kuznauer going, you get the sense now that if Victory can maintain positive form and keep doing what they've been doing, that they played the same system in this game. Arthur Dillis didn't do anything too crazy. If they keep this up, they might just well stick with Arthur Dillis. I think that's a reality. I think that could well be what happens. Look, we were talking about Best Richard earlier. Maybe he might be interested in the coaching gig at Melbourne Victory. That would be interesting. But I'll tell you what, if Victory are getting the results, you wouldn't want to really shake things up. So I think there's a chance that Arthur Dillis does continue in the role. Arthur Dillis was wearing the suit last night too. It's not often you see that assistant promoted to the top job. And he was wearing the suit, dude. Usually they're just wearing the tracksuit like they usually do. But Arthur Dillis was rocking the suit, man. Looking fresh on the sidelines for the Melbourne derby. I think that shows fans that he's maybe keen for the head coach gig. Alrighty. Luke as well chiming in regards to Nikos Virgos says, don't you remember if Virgos' name was said by the announcers until he was rubbed off? Yeah, very quiet in this game. Very quiet. Alligators mentions here as well, says, Coast, you didn't mention him until he came off. Yeah, that's right. Hey, that's right. Alligators also says here, I wouldn't be surprised really if they stick with their assistant manager. And if he stayed as the head coach for a while until they find someone else. He seems to be similar to Kuznauer. Yeah, I mean, he probably doesn't want to shake things up too much, hey? Yeah. Luke says these next two games will definitely be a test for Arthur Dillis, going up against both Sydney and Auckland, both away games. Yes. Well said. Two interesting games. Big Blue next week, away to Sydney. Who knows how that game's going to pan out. I would favour victory in that game, but you never know with Sydney FC and maybe Douglas Costa finding some good form. And Auckland away is obviously going to be tricky. So some big games for victory, hey? Big games. Winberger, he says, any thoughts or view on the rumoured Melbourne Victory fire sale in the January transfer window? I have not heard anything of these rumours, to be honest. We'll wait and see. I'd be surprised if they let many players go. They've got a very strong squad at the moment, great squad depth. So I'd be surprised if they were to offload any players, but we'll see. G'day, T-Bones. T-Bones asks, who do you think was player of the round? Ooh. Who was player of the round? Dylan Shaklun was very good today. I mean, Douglas Costa. Maybe him. Maybe Costa. Thought he was fantastic. Look, 2 goals and 1 assist. I don't know if you can take it off Douglas Costa. I think my player of the match from the Melbourne derby was probably Patrick Beach. He's probably up there as well. Yeah, I think he was the best goalkeeper this weekend as well. So, yeah. Owen here, we were talking about Bessa Barisha here in terms of maybe he'll end up at Brisbane or Victory. We'll see potentially in the future. Owen here says Barisha will probably go to Brisbane over Victory. I feel Victory will keep their assistant manager. This is if Barisha does choose to coach a side. Yeah, I think I'm with you there, Owen. I think Victory do stick with Dillis for now, and yeah, if Stankovic does indeed depart Brisbane, they might be keen on bringing Barisha back to the club. Dude, that would be great. If I was a Brisbane Raw fan, and Bessa Barisha, look, he obviously doesn't have enormous coaching experience. He's early on in his coaching career. But if I'm a Brisbane fan and they announce Barisha as their new head coach, I'd be stoked. I'd be excited. I'd be like, sweet. Something new, something exciting, a former Brisbane Raw legend coming into the coaching role. I'd be down for it. So, yeah. Owen says player of the round will be Yakulis tomorrow night with 3 goals and 1 assist. Hopefully not. Hopefully not, from a Mariners point of view. Melbourne Derby 1-1. I think a fair result in the end. Quick look at the ladder as well. These two teams are next to each other on the ladder. Victory still in third. City just 3 points behind them in fourth. But that front three starting to pull away now. Auckland, Adelaide, Victory. All very close to each other now at the top of the table, aren't they? Yeah. T-Burns says here as well, final comment here on the Melbourne Derby, says, I was watching the Derby, and on the morning news this morning, the reporters said that Beach cost the game for them, but he kept them in the game. Yeah, I mean, look, I think Patrick Beach did make an error for Victory's goal. He maybe thought he could have got to the ball and he missed it. But aside from that, as you say, the T-Bones, he did keep them in the game. He did keep them in the game. If it wasn't for Patrick Beach, Victory would have won this game, maybe 3-1, which is what happened back in round 2. Hey, so yeah. All right, we've got another big game to talk about. It's Western Sydney Wanderers 4, Wellington Phoenix 1. Great to see you all in the live chat. Hey, if you want to support the channel, you can hit the like button right now. You can also consider sending to a super chat. We are doing these live round recaps every Sunday evening. We've got one more game coming up tomorrow night, MacArthur Mariners. So we'll be doing a little mini preview for that game shortly. And as well, at the end of the stream, in about 15 minutes, we'll be just having some general questions and general chat. Always great to hear from you guys as well. Are you able to do match day vlog for tomorrow's game, please? Definitely keen to keep the vlogs coming, so keep an eye on it, Owen. But let's talk about this game here. Wanderers 4, Wellington 1. Great result for Wanderers, man. Great result. I mean, my prediction, dude, all my predictions are wrong, man. Don't listen to me for predictions. I predicted Wellington to win this game. I thought they would bounce back. I think they would have been really disappointed with their last couple of losses in the New Zealand Derby, losing at home to MacArthur. And I was like, they'll bounce back here. You know, Wanderers have been a bit inconsistent at the moment. They'll bounce back here. Wellington are a good team. Wanderers scored 4 goals past them. Very uncharacteristic Wellington Phoenix performance. And credit to Wanderers, who just put in a great performance the entire 90 minutes. 22 shots for the Wanderers to Wellington's 13. Wanderers just edging it in possession as well. Still no place in the starting 11 for Juan Mata. That is its own talking point. But hey, if they're winning 4-1, where does Juan Mata fit into this team? Like, don't get me wrong. I would love to see, from a neutral point of view, I want to see Juan Mata starting. I want to see him playing. But Alan Stajic is probably like, well, we just won 4-1, you know? So it's an interesting sort of conversation. It's a very fascinating one too. We'd love to hear from you guys as well. Like, do you still where do you shift Juan Mata into this team if he does come in? Anyway, Zab's fit on the score sheet again. Shakluna was great in this game, and he scored a fantastic goal at the end. Bojidar Kraev, not only did he score against his former team, but a little celebration as well, which did surprise me. And Kraev was pretty crucial to Wellington Phoenix's success last year, and he was there for the last few years in Wellington. Scores against them and pretty happy to celebrate. I don't know, make of that what you will. Look, some defensive concerns for Wanderers with so many injuries. Pelikanos was at the back there for Western Sydney Wanderers, and his partnership with Bonadig, look, they did pretty well to keep Wellington to just the 1 goal. A pretty spectacular goal from Ishige from Wellington. That little sort of, I don't know if you call it a bicycle, but it was sort of an overhead kick there from Hideki Ishige. Wellington sort of playing, again, sort of this back 5. Obviously, the wing backs get very, very high. But, yeah, some really really uncharacteristic defense mistakes from Wellington Phoenix. And for the Knicks, I do want to pull up the ladder because they're in a tricky position at the moment. They've now lost 3 consecutive games. Wellington, 9th on the ladder, 3 wins, 1 draw, 4 losses now for Wellington. Heading into this game, they'd only conceded 7 goals this season. Now they've conceded 11. And now there's maybe a bit of work to do for Giancarlo Italiano, who is a top coach. But 3 consecutive losses, this is unusual. They were so good. They did not lose many games at all last season, Wellington. and they're on a losing run now. 3 consecutive losses. They have to find a way to stop it. I think they might need to make some moves in the January transfer window. And I think the thing that's becoming apparent now for Wellington is, I mean, it's something that's been talked about a lot in regards to the Central Coast Mariners in recent seasons, but maybe missing some of those fantastic players they had last year. Finn Cern at the back. I think they've missed him. Bojacry, if you score against them in this game. Ben Old is a big one as well. Ben Old was so good last season. He's obviously over in France now. Oscar Zavada, another player who's gone. You know, there's some key players. And obviously Alex Paulson, who we should mention as well, who's now, of course, at their rivals, Auckland. Matthew here says, Wellington need signings, a replacement for Kolakowski, maybe someone like Alan Harbas. I can't say I've heard of that guy. On loan, 34 games for KTP in Finland's top division, 6 goals as well, forward winger. Wow, Matthew, love the detailed scouting there. Perhaps we've found one for Wellington Phoenix. Look, especially with that injury to Kolakowski, he's ruled out for the season. Devastating for Kolakowski, promising young player, and Wellington. So they may well look to sign another attacking player. Yeah, it's an interesting one. Blinkers here says Mata will start when Shikluna or Brillante gets injured or whatever, I think. I don't know. I mean, like Juan Mata, look, I think we all know Juan Mata's best position is probably playing as like a number 10, you know, an attacking midfielder. Wanderers don't play with an attacking midfielder. They play a 4-4-2, and I don't know how that would work with Juan Mata playing as sort of one of those two central midfielders. They have to get through a lot of work, and is he going to be best utilized in that position? I'm not sure. Potentially, he has come on in that role a couple of times throughout the season, late on in games, but for a full 90 minutes, I'm not sure if you want one match in that position. It is an interesting one, isn't it? It is interesting. Ailey Gedditz says this is controversial, but honestly, they don't even need Mata. I wonder why they brought him in. Without that good of a plan. It is a bizarre one, especially considering that, like, I just wonder, this is something I said in last week's round recap, but I wonder whether Alan Stajic was involved in the decision to bring Juan Mata to the club. Like Alan Stajic has pretty clearly, for most of his A-League career, played a 4-4-2, you know, that kind of a setup. A 4-4-2. We have seen that. We saw it at Perth Glory last season. We saw it at Central Coast Mariners a few years ago. He does like to play a 4-4-2. He doesn't really play with like a number 10, you know, like a sort of an attacking midfielder. He doesn't really play with that kind of player. So what was the thinking from Alan Stajic? What sort of role, you know, I'm sure they would have had talks with Juan Mata in terms of what role they envisioned for him to play. Was he going to play as one of these two forward players? I think that's maybe where you'd play him, maybe alongside Borrello or Sapsford. But both those guys are playing well this season. So it's like, do you drop one of those guys? Or do you play maybe Juan Mata out wide? It is a fascinating one. It is a fascinating one, isn't it? Yeah. Back on Wellington Phoenix, Butter's here as well. Butter, Wellington Phoenix fan, good to see you here. Says, build Tuiloma on loan, please, Chiefy. I mean, that would be an interesting signing. Tuiloma, who's spent some time over in France and the MLS as well, if I'm not mistaken. Hello to James Bell here in the live chat as well. James says, really think Knicks need to sign one more experienced defender. The kids are showing their inexperience. Yeah, look, there was some maybe questionable errors from Phoenix defenders. Corbin Piper was caught on possession for Wanderers. What was it, the second or third goal? I think it was the second goal. Yeah, it's Cryo's goal. Piper was caught in possession. Maybe Isaac Hughes was out of position as well for the third goal. Anderson's goal was way too easy, that third goal for Wanderers. So just some holes showing up in Wellington's defense. And yeah, like Finn Sermon was so good for them last season. And maybe they wouldn't have conceded 4 goals today if they had someone like Finn Sermon there as well. So, look, a 4-1 win for Western Sydney Wanderers. What a result for Western Sydney. So, look, Wellington, as we said earlier, interesting predicament for them at the moment. 3 consecutive losses. Chiefy's going to turn it around. But Wanderers now into the top 6. 3 wins, 2 draws, 3 losses. So mixed form still, but another, big win for them. They won 4-1 against Newcastle Jets a few weeks ago. So they've shown that they can grab the big win this season. They got to try and keep this rolling. Got to try and keep this rolling here. Butter as well saying Isaac Hughes, Wellington defender. Isaac Hughes has been shocking. 5 errors that led to a goal in 3 weeks, says Butter here. Braden Goddard, thanks for joining us in the live chat as well, says Wanderers fan here. We are in the top 6 for the rest of the night, and hopefully you beat the Bulls, Mariners beat the Bulls, but we will finish Christmas week 7th. Look, it's. I think Wanderers fans should be. I think cautiously optimistic for this season. They do have some good players who are playing well this season. Milanovic has been very good. I think Barella has been good this season so far. He's made a good start to this campaign, and especially if Dylan Shakluna is putting in performances like he did today regularly, they will do well. They will do well. All right, we're going to be live for the next 10 minutes here, live on our round recap. Our round recaps, we do these every Sunday night, so make sure to join us next week for the round 10 round recap. Plenty of games coming up. Score predictions for tomorrow. Let's quickly touch on tomorrow's game. Of course, one more game this round. It is a Monday game. It is Macarthur SC taking on Central Coast Mariners. Macarthur 7th on the ladder at the moment. Mariners down at 10th. Mariners, we need to bounce back after last week's shocking 4-0 loss at home. Macarthur SC, they got that win last week against Wellington away. They're a dangerous team, man. If those attackers get rolling early, Macarthur could run away with it, man. They could run away with it. So it will be an interesting one tomorrow night. Macarthur, Mariners, kick off at 7 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time. So an interesting one. Of course, for those who are unaware, this channel is now called Ozwatch Football. There is a new channel that I've created called Coastwatch Football, and it is a dedicated Mariners fan channel. So if you search up Coastwatch Football, you can go check out that channel. And I have a dedicated Mariners Macarthur preview on that channel, so you can go check that out. So it's a YouTube channel, social media channel as well for Mariners fans. So check it out. Blinkers is back in a 2-2 draw for this game. I could see it. Yeah, I could see it. All right. We're going to, if you guys have any questions regarding this round, any A-League questions, throw them in right now. We'll discuss it. It's a bit of a free-for-all, so let's do it. Let's do it. James Bell says, Wellington and Sydney, the biggest shocks in the ladder right now. It's still early, right? Oh, yeah, definitely still early, of course. I think that's fair to say. I think looking at the ladder, Sydney FC, obviously, I don't think anyone expected them to be this low at this point in the season. They've obviously been struggling quite a lot. Especially with 4 wins at this point in the season, man. It's really concerning for them. They got to try and find a way to get back in the winning circle, because the last few weeks have been really shaky. And yeah, Wellington, I mean, now in 9th position, I still had high hopes for Wellington Phoenix that they would be good this year once again. They've still got a strong squad overall. I think Ishiga's been very good so far this season. He's grabbed a couple of really nice goals and has looked good. So, yeah, I think they're 2 big shocks as well. Aside from that, look, Western United, I don't know if we expected them to be that high. And look, for me, I didn't expect Adelaide United to be in the top 2 after 8 rounds. So, yeah. Harvinho in the chat, Pitch Talk, welcome. Says, Roar finished. No Adam Taggart for Perth, and we still can't get a point. Plus, Perth travelled across the country. Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, it's one of the big talking points from this week. Brisbane Roar now bottom of the table. If they can't beat Perth Glory at home, I mean, who are they going to beat? Like, that's the question, right? If they can't beat this struggling shambles of a club right now that is Perth Glory, I think that's not harsh to say that. Perth Glory, a bit of a mess right now. If they can't beat Perth Glory at home, who are they going to beat? Where's the win going to come from for Brisbane Roar? But I do think Brisbane Roar have been good in a few games this season. Like, they've shown some good signs. Tom Waddingham has been good so far this season, but the results aren't coming for them. And maybe that comes down to the coach in the end, after eight games. Yeah. Kazor says, thoughts on the Glory performance. Which players do you reckon will leave Glory? Look, from Glory's perspective, it wasn't an amazing game. Like, it was an average game. You could tell these 2 teams were on the bottom of the table. Glory just took their opportunity. Risdon with a nice delivery and Williams there, tapping it in, Which players do you reckon will leave Glory? Yeah, look, I think we'll see a few. We've already seen Luis Kanga leave the club. It just hasn't worked out for him, the defender. Caicedo's the other one. I wouldn't be surprised if he leaves. Obviously, we saw a few weeks ago a bit of some interesting scenes when he was subbed off half an hour after being subbed on, and he didn't seem to be happy about that. He hasn't featured much for Glory this season, so maybe he could be on the way out as well. It could be anyone. It could be anyone. Hey, feels like anyone could be on the way out there at Perth Glory. Yeah. What else are we saying here as well? We've got some great questions and comments coming in. Newy Jet says, Piscopo. We love Ren Piscopo. he's been great this season, hasn't he? He's looked very good. In some good form at Melbourne victory. Newy Jet also says, bring back the FIFA career modes, man. They were unreal. Yeah, we might have to bring it back in the new year. Get back into the FC career modes. We did an Auckland FC career mode earlier this year. We did a Mariners career mode a few months ago as well. Harvinio says the fans are singing Ruben out. Yeah, no surprise. No surprise. Yeah. Surely he has to go, hey? Surely he has to go. Blinkist says a lot of clubs are probably looking for defenders in Jan. Local talent pool is limited. Jacob Tratt is someone I'm surprised nobody picked up. Yeah, look, he's been at Oakley Cannons. He was at Oakley Cannons this year. Featured in them. They're a decent Australia Cup run as well. They got to the quarterfinals of the Australia Cup earlier this year. Jacob Tratt was part of that defence. So, yeah. Tell you what, if there is an A-League side looking up to pick up a defender who does have A-League experience, Jacob Tratt could be that guy. Harrison says that my Phoenix are falling apart. Yeah, a bit of a rough time for Phoenix. 3 consecutive losses. Luke says, who would you say is the most consistent team this season? The most consistent, regardless of wins or losses. We could say one of those bottom teams. Perth Glory have been losing pretty consistently. Brisbane have been losing consistently as well. But we do have to talk about Adelaide United. We should acknowledge that they are still the only team undefeated. Credit to the Reds, who have been strong in every game this season, man. Very strong in every game. 5 wins, 3 draws, second on the ladder, just 1 point behind Auckland FC now. So they've been very, very consistent so far this season, haven't they? Yeah. Matthew says, do a career mode with Brisbane in charge. FC career mode. That's a fun idea. That is a fun idea as well. Braden asks, who do you think the Wanderers will sign as a replacement in the January transfer window? As a replacement for in defence, I assume you're talking about? Well, they've got a couple of defenders out with injury. Great question. We were just talking about Jacob Tratt. Maybe they could look at him. People have talked about someone like Tommy Deng coming back to the A-League. That'd be fun. So, look, if Wanderers wanted another defender, maybe Thomas Deng, Socceroo defender, that'd be a great signing, hey? That'd be a great signing. Relics, g'day Relics, says, was nice to go to a Wanderers game this Arvo and not be disappointed for once. Yeah, man. Look, if they can get the fans back on side, if they can get some good wins at home this season at Wanderers, I'm sure the crowd numbers will continue to rise there at Combank Stadium. A-League edits chiming in here in regards to Sydney FC. So Sydney FC, where do I start? This is not what people thought they have. Misreading this. Have to win against Victory. 8th is just unacceptable, says Popovic has not been that good personally, I think. However, the ACL 2 are good, I think. Popovic. Yeah, look, obviously the back line for Sydney has been a bit of a concern at the moment, hasn't it? And again, there might be an area of the pitch that Sydney look to recruit in. But as you say, that 8th is unacceptable. Hey, 8th is unacceptable at the moment for Sydney FC. Couple more questions coming in here before we tune off for our Sunday evening. James here says, the thing with Phoenix that's puzzling me is that this is a team that put 3 past against Mariners and beat a strong Melbourne victory. Like what happened? Yeah, right. Well said. They've been good this season. I feel like they've been good more often than not, Wellington. Here's the thing I will point out. here's the thing I did realize this before the stream today. Wellington Phoenix have lost 4 games. 2 of those have been against Auckland. It's very unusual that they've faced, a team twice already this season. It's happened a few times for a few teams. Half of Wellington's Phoenix's losses so far have been against the top team in the competition, Auckland FC. The other losses were against Macarthur last week and Wanderers today. But the 2 other losses were against Auckland. Aside from that, they've been very good. As you say there, James, very good point there, scoring 3 past Mariners, in Gosford. And in Unite round, they did defeat Melbourne Victory, which was a huge result. Huge result. So, yeah, it's an interesting one for Wellington Phoenix. So, look, there's so many interesting talking points all across the league. Auckland, Adelaide, Victory looking pretty strong at the top of the table. Glory, Brisbane still struggling at the bottom, especially Brisbane Roar. We'll certainly keep an eye on the situation of Brisbane Roar. Does Ruben Zadkiewicz get the sack this week? Certainly keep an eye on it. A lot of pressure there on those clubs towards the bottom of the table. One more game coming up this round. It is Macarthur FC taking on Central Coast Mariners. Hopefully, my Mariners bounce back with a win. And check out the new Coastwatch Football YouTube channel for dedicated Mariners fan content. Hey, hit subscribe if you want to stick around for more of these live round recaps. We do them live here every Sunday nights. And we've got plenty of videos coming out throughout the week as well. Check out Ozwatch Football across all the social media sites as well. Hey, guys, enjoy the rest of your Sunday nights. Enjoy your week. Enjoy the A-League action tomorrow night. And have a Merry Christmas. Have a safe, happy Christmas. Appreciate you guys tuning in as always, man. I really, really do appreciate it. So have a safe and happy Christmas. And we'll see you guys for next week's live round recap. My name's Lockie. This is Ozwatch Football. Hit the like button on the way out. And I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.